This episode of Setting the Score is sponsored by Sky Sports. Stream Sky Sports flexibly on Now. What you want, when you want, no fuss. Go to nowtv.com to start streaming Sky Sports today. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Settle the Score on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. My name is Harry Durham. Let's look back on the huge game between Spurs and Man City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I thought Tottenham were dead and buried after that first half. I was expecting a 9-0. I really was. Joining me to look back on all of the action is Chris Cowlin from the Spurs Chat podcast and Amos Murphy from the City Ramble. Chris, please just tell us how you're feeling. I mean, that was a really, really strange afternoon in North London. The first 45 minutes going in 2-0 down, the toxicity in the air at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It was quoted as, and I'll come on to it, I'll mention this to Amos as well, like a charity game, like Soccer Aid. It was so drab. And then all of a sudden, 2 goals out of nowhere. Dominic Solanke, scorpion kick. I mean, it was just two polar opposites by the time the full-time whistle blew.
Yeah, incredible. Like you said there, like a training game, like a training match for Manchester City in the first half. Booze at half-time again. That has been very, very normal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Only 2 wins at home in the Premier League this season. But, you know, what a second 45 minutes from Tottenham. And this is exactly what we want to see from this Tottenham Hotspur side under Thomas Frank. He's been under a lot of pressure this season, and the home form has been abysmal. And it felt like a win in the end, weirdly, in that second half. But you know, if only we could play like that every week, and if only we could play Manchester City, because we always seem to get points from them.
Amos, what was your feelings going into that half-time break? Like, you didn't get out of second gear, and then to see it end the way that it did, do you feel like Pep Guardiola, we probably did give him pelters at half-time, because you saw what he was saying to Ryan Cherky in the first half, and Ryan Cherky was pretty much just laughing him off, and Pep was getting more and more frustrated. He's going to be absolutely fuming because they look miles off of it, even when they were 2-0 up.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was actually, and hindsight's beautiful, of course, but I was more angry with the first half, because you can't, in a Premier League match, you can't leave a team, quote unquote, alive. You can't keep that door open. And even though City get the second goal just before the break, the door was just ever so slightly ajar. It should have really been 5-0 at half-time, and I think a more serious City team of past makes it 5-0 at half-time. Tottenham were abysmal in the first half. It was like a football team who actually were trying to get the manager sacked. I couldn't quite believe what was going on. And then, you know, the second half comes around, and not for the first time this season, and I would be absolutely gobsmacked if it's the last time, a second half capitulation. We are first half FC. If football matches were 45 minutes, we would win the quadruple. Unfortunately, they are not. They are 90 minutes, as famously is known. So yeah, madness, abysmal from quite a lot of people, if we're being honest.
Chris, what's your response to that? I mean, we do see it sometimes where players just don't turn up. Did you think, standing in the terraces yesterday, that the players were trying to get Thomas Frank the sack in that first 45 minutes?
I wouldn't go that far, but I know that it was going to be a very, very tough Feb. You know, we've got Man City, Man United, and Newcastle and Arsenal, so we know that it's going to be a tough run-in. But, you know, we've been used to boring, drab football this season, sadly, particularly at home. As I mentioned, only 2 wins all season at home in the Premier League, which is not good enough for Tottenham. And given our league position as well, we knew that this was going to be a tough game. But Amos is absolutely right. It could have been a lot more than 2. I even know some people who went home at half-time, they'd had enough, and they thought it was going to be out of sight in the second half. And we all feared, actually, the people that I spoke to at half-time, they were like, you know, my God, this is going to be 5 or 6. But, you know, full credit. You have to give credit where it's due. And full credit, Spurs come out in that second half and gave that great performance. And I felt in the end, in that second half, we were the better team, and we should have perhaps gone on to win it. But, Amos, what I would say to you is, we're praying and hoping that City turn it round. I've been saying all season that City are going to win the league. You need to do this for us. You need to do this.
Look, it's on you now, Chris. It's on your conscience. Your lads have allowed this. That's what I'll say. If Mikel Arteta is lifting the Premier League title, I'm sorry for uttering those words on a Monday morning, but yeah, this is Spurs' fault now. I'm sorry. This is
We've got
the
them to
bones.
play. We've got Arsenal to play. So we'll try and do you a favour. We will try.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I know it's toxic in the club, but Chris, come on now. With games and occasions like this, when it's in the second half of the season, and we don't want Arsenal to win their first title in over 20 years, was there a part of you when you picked up the point against City when you were like, do you know what? It is, you're satisfied because you are a Tottenham supporter, and you didn't want to win. You would have happily relinquished 3 points.
Harry, given our league position, Spurs fans in this last few weeks have been talking about the relegation zone, and Spurs need points right now, and we need performances because it has been a really, really dismal season so far. And without that Champions League run, I think a lot more people have given up. And, sadly, I know a lot of people that have given up this season under Thomas Frank, and a lot of people want Thomas Frank gone. But, given the last couple of weeks, some of the performances and some of the moments, it's just a sad state that we can't do it over 90 minutes. I know Thomas Frank comes out and says that, he sees a lot of positives in the last 10 games or so. I think he sees a lot more positives than us fans do. But it's a really weird time for Spurs right now. But going back to your question, we need points. So we were desperate for that point yesterday.
There was it a staged walkout at 75 minutes at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which was actually like quite weird because obviously that's when you start getting back properly into the game. Did anyone actually go through with the staged walkout, or
not one?
The atmosphere
Not one.
just changed?
Not one. 70 minutes. Dominic Solanke scores that scorpion kick, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But after that, not one person was leaving their seat because everyone felt like Spurs were going to go on to win the game, and this great comeback.
Amos, Pep Guardiola, your gaffer, didn't like Tottenham's opening goal. Obviously spoke to Sky Sports off the back of the game as being classic Pep, not giving anything away. And it almost seemed like he was trying to get away from the post-match interview. And the reporter was like, no, you stay there. Don't leave us on a cliffhanger. He thinks that Mark Guehi was fouled for the goal. What do you think of that, Amos?
Well, yeah, he was. He was, wasn't he? It was bonkers, and look, I think overall across the Premier League matches on Sunday, it was a really terrible day for VAR. This concept that we were promised as football fans, and at this point, I just feel like we're being gaslit because why they spend so long looking at such tedious moments. For example, the Aston Villa goal where it apparently went out about 20 seconds before Abraham put it in the back of the net, but yet. An incident that is directly in front of goal, just on the edge of the 6-yard box, an opposition player. The worst thing about it, look, if it's a foul, it's a foul. If it's not a foul, it's not a foul. They've given the goal to Solanke. Solanke doesn't touch the ball.
No, he doesn't.
Before it goes into the back of the net, which is wild because to me that is just an admission of, okay, well, this is obviously a bad decision. Well, how can we cover it up? We can say that Solanke is the goal scorer. He scored the goal. Well, no, actually he doesn't because Mark Gay is kicking it in the net. But why is Mark Gay kicking it in the net? Because Solanke's gone through the back of him. Spin it around. If a defender does that to a striker and the ball doesn't go in, it's a penalty. And that's the maddening part to me. I don't blame the ref at all on the pitch for not seeing it, not giving it. There was a melee of bodies. That's fine. You've got a guy sat at somewhere watching it on 15 different replays from all the different angles and still can't find the right decision. So yeah, I think it's gone past Mars after this point. Jupiter, Saturn, somewhere like that in the solar system, but it's certainly not on planet
Where's the
Earth.
furthest planet? I hate to take it off course, but where's the furthest you could get in our solar system?
Neptune in the solar system,
I think it is
believe.
Neptune, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe my head's going there.
Yeah, you could have said like Tatooine or Naboo from Star Wars, but obviously they're not real. Chris, you were nodding your head, not at the Star Wars references there, but for moments whilst Amos was speaking, your response to that opening Spurs goal.
I can't argue with anything. I think that was a very, very fair assessment from Amos, and I think that Pep in his post-match presser said exactly that. If it was a defender on a striker, then it would have been a penalty. But I think it's fair to say, Harry, every single time I've been on with you on talkSPORT on these shows, we've always been talking about VAR, and that is the issue. Completely inconsistent, and I think it's been terrible this year, actually, in the Premier League.
I think you say it's been terrible this year in the Premier League. I don't think we've had a good season without. I don't
Fair
think.
enough.
I think every single year has been absolutely dross. How long ago did it come in off the top?
2019.
2019.
2019, yeah.
I mean, if you think about that's like coming up to 7 years now, and it's just
And they still don't know how to use it.
no, you still don't know how to use it. You think by at the age of 7, you've sort of like worked things out. You've worked out names. The frontal lobe is not fully developed yet, but maybe by the age of 25, another 18 years, they'll be able to work out VAR. It's an absolute shambles.
Imagine staying in a job for 7 years and not getting sacked when you don't have a clue.
I know.
It's the longest probation period of all time.
I know, it's an absolute disgrace. Chris, I'm going to stick with you, mate. I know, obviously, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it's been tough ever since you were, moved in's a weird one to say because it's obviously still on the grounds of White Hart Lane, but it's, moved, forward, backward a little bit. Is that Dominic Solanke goal the best goal that you've seen in that stadium?
Sonny won the Puskas Award against Burnley.
Yes, when he ran all the way through.
Goal. And Mickey van der Ven scored a fantastic goal in the Champions League this season. And but Dominic Solanke is right up there. Fantastic work, actually, by Conor Gallagher to win the ball back and put the cross in. And what a finish. And we have really, really missed Dominic Solanke all season. And to have that striker in and around the box now in the right positions and, a player that can finish like that is absolutely superb for us. And, we just cannot wait to get some of our other injured players back, because it's fair to say as well that, in these last few seasons, the 2 seasons under Ange and the season so far under Frank, the injury record has just been absolutely abysmal and atrocious for Spurs. So it's so good to have him back. But, what a finish from him. And I just hope that he can deliver more of this from now until the end of the season.
Amos, I know you can be a bit of a cynic, and obviously of your FIFA playing days back in the day as well, like me, because we're both similar ages. Would you class that as a scorpion kick or not?
It was mentioned on comms, and I wasn't sure. Possibly. It seems like a finish that has gone out of the game.
Well, I always think of Rene Higuita, and obviously the ball hit both of the bottom of his feet, and I always thought that was a scorpion kick. But if you've got one leg up and it hits,
come on, give credit where it's due. Come on,
it was an unbelievable goal.
Finish. I reckon you could try that a million times and you might score 4 or 5, and that's nothing to take away from it because the technique is just phenomenal. To get that trajectory. And
do you think Donnarumma should have done a little bit better, or do you reckon he didn't actually? What was going on?
I think it's probably more of the latter, Harry, because as a goalkeeper, you a lot of the time you're working off the predictability and repetition, and players get in certain positions and they're going to shoot here, or he couldn't see Solanke, let alone see where he was going. So, look, I thought he did well enough. And to be fair, in that spell from about sort of 60 minutes onwards up until pretty much full time, Donnarumma probably keeps it in the game. So, I'm not one to label the blame on him. I don't think after that sensational finish.
A question to both of you. This is just obviously a question that I like to ask all football fans. Does Pep Guardiola walk at the end of the season if he has a back-to-back trophyless season? Amos, I'm going to start with you because you're a Manchester City fan.
Yeah. I think there's more chance of him walking if he wins a trophy. And that maybe sounds a little bit silly.
Sort of situation.
Yeah, I think by all accounts, reports from inside the club, etc., it was looking like it was coming towards an end at the end of what would have been last season. But obviously, City had that mid-season blip, and Pep didn't want to leave the team where it was in terms of a bad state. So look, I'm not denying Manchester City have spent a lot of money, but as we've seen from several clubs in the Premier League over the last few years, you spend money, it doesn't mean you get success. And I do think he has a duty to maybe gel that together. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say trophyless season would automatically equal walk, but I do think we are absolutely closer than we are from not going. So whether it's this summer, whether it's next summer, I think this will be at least the final 18 months.
Chris, your response, or if you don't want to respond because it's another team's manager and you don't really care, you can tell us how long you think Thomas Frank's got, because the next 5 games for Spurs could be a bit of a roller coaster, my friend.
I was going to ask that. Are you going to ask the Thomas Frank
Of
question?
course
as well?
I am.
Yeah, of course you are. With Pep, I tell you, I really do hope that Pep stays in the Premier League. And like I said, Amos, we're all praying and hoping that you win the Premier League this season. And even if he does go at the end, but I hope he stays because what a manager, what a character as well in the Premier League over the years. The amount of Premier League titles that he's lifted at City has been incredible. Incredible style of football, throughout the years as well. With Thomas Frank. As I said, Harry, I feel like a lot of people, I know a lot of people have given up on Thomas Frank. We've seen positive signs a little bit in some games, not enough. Has the football been good enough? Has it been entertaining enough? Absolutely not. We need to see more. And at the Burnley game recently, on 3 separate occasions, the fans were singing Pochettino's name. So I think that says it all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning. Just a quick roundup and big thanks to Amos and Chris as well. Tottenham Hotspur's next 5 games on Saturday. They'll travel to Old Trafford to face Manchester United. Then they'll host Newcastle. Then it's the North London derby on the 22nd of February. Then they travel to the mighty Fulham on Sunday, March the 1st. We've been unbelievable. And then on March the 5th, Tottenham will be hosting Crystal Palace, who are having a bit of a tough time in the Premier League at the moment. Of course, drew to Nottingham Forest yesterday. But if we look at Manchester City as well, and the team that a lot of us want to win the Premier League title, because, we may be biased, but we don't want to see Arsenal win their first Premier League title in over 20 years. Manchester City will be in EFL Cup action tomorrow against Newcastle, I believe, off the top of my head. No, that's Arsenal that are 3-2 up, 2-0 up on aggregate. Then they go to Liverpool on Sunday. Tough. Then they host Fulham. Then they got Salford in the FA Cup, so they're pretty much playing Manchester United's weird little brother. And then they've got Newcastle again, 12:30 on the 21st of February, away to Leeds, and then home at Nottingham Forest. It's going to be big, it's going to be mighty, and we can't wait to see how the rest of the season unfolds here on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Please remember, if you're new here, to like and subscribe just down below. Check out Amos and check out Chris on YouTube as well. See you later. This episode of Setting the Score is sponsored by Sky Sports. Stream Sky Sports flexibly on Now. What you want, when you want, no fuss. Go to nowtv.com to start streaming Sky Sports today.